And we absolutely know what they do with certain video games like Black Myth Wukong that doesn't fit the narrative that they want it to fit. Now we have an article here from The Gamer, and it says if Black Myth Wukong isn't nominated for Game of the Year, fans are gonna be insufferable.
Why are you the way that you are?
Now, they're putting out this article quite simply because they're trying to get ahead of the conversation. All they're trying to do is realize that this is not going to go their way. People have caught on to the fact that Black Myth Wukong is not just a successful game. People actually genuinely enjoy the game. And there is so much cope in this article, you guys wouldn't even believe. It is nauseating, the amount of cope that's in it. And they try to do the typical thing, which is, oh, the game was only successful because it was sold in China. You mean all your other games weren't sold in China? Are you fucking kidding me? So let's get into this article, guys, from The Gamer. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. And I apologize if I sound weird. My voice is being lost because I filmed too many damn videos and do too many damn streams. But that's okay. The work's got to get done. Black Myth Wukong is a very good action game, taking the Souls-like formula and stretching it into a boss rush format. Its popularity even surpasses that of its inspirations, garnering millions of players in mere days. It's a genuine contender for the Game Awards, but with how stacked 2024 is shaping up to be, competition is fierce. Polygon recently updated its Game of the Year frontrunners list, while the Golden Joystick Awards also announced its 6 nominees for this year's PC and console Game of the Year categories. Black Myth Wukong is nowhere to be seen outside of smaller categories, and so TikTok right now is a deluge of angry gamers declaring games media is corrupt and that it's all part of some wider conspiracy. The game was not rigged from the start. It has just been a very, very competitive year. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Listen, there has been great games that have come out this year. There's no doubt about it. But to call it a competitive year, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? There's games that have come out that absolutely should be recommended for Game of the Year, and Black Myth Wukong is one of them. Not just because it's successful, but because, quite simply, it is a damn good game. The amount of content that you get for one singular price with no DLCs, no microtransactions, interesting gameplay, interesting story, cinematic storytelling, mind you. Every single chapter ends with a literal anime or some sort of animation playing for like 5 minutes. They give you a fucking show. Literally, it's insane the amount of content that Black Myth Wukong provides you for one singular price when you have games like Star Wars Outlaws trying to charge you double for half of a game, and it's buggy. I mean, I really don't understand how we are even having this conversation, but they are simply trying to get ahead of it because they know they're never going to vote on it for Game of the Year. They know that, right? We know that. We've said it. We've said it the moment the game come out. If you guys watch my live streams, you realize I've been saying this since day one. I was saying this shit before the game even came out. I was like, if this game is successful, there's no way they're making it Game of the Year because there's no diversity in it. No diversity to their standards, mind you, because there's women in the game. There's plenty of women in the game, but the journalists don't know that because they can't even get past chapter 1. This week alone, we've had Silent Hill 2 remake, which again, a remake for Game of the Year, maybe, but I really don't even want to start going down that route. Metaphor Refantasio, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero could be an option, but a fighting game as Game of the Year is very unlikely. 3 critically acclaimed hits that are all vying for the spotlight with equal fervor. Earlier this year, we also saw the launch of Astrobot. Highly doubt that gets Game of the Year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth doesn't deserve it. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Tekken 8, Helldivers 2, and Dragon's Dogma. None of these games are anywhere close to being as impactful as Black Myth Wukong. Almost none of these. Helldivers 2, I would argue, was impactful in the multiplayer segment. That absolutely could be a topic of conversation. Dragon's Dogma 2 kind of came and went like a fart in the wind. People talked about it for like 3 days and then gave up on it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sold less than the original, and people are upset as to where the story's going, so I highly doubt that's going to be Game of the Year. Again, these games that are all being brought up, there was one game that was universally loved by everybody except the shills, and that was Black Myth Wukong. And it wasn't just because of the culture nonsense. It literally had people playing, hundreds of thousands of people playing per day for weeks on end because they wanted to do every little thing in the game because the game was actually enjoyable, right? It wasn't just about the conversation that was happening in the game. It was simply that the game was actually good. And then it says that for those who have used Wukong as fuel in a culture war since before it was even released, it's absent on these lists is an attack. It's a ploy by games media for reasons, even though it has an open critic aggregate of 82. There's one big argument cropping up across Reddit and slowly replacing all of the goth girls on my For You page as to why it deserves to be nominated. It sold well. It's hardly a compelling defense, but sales figures have long been used as evidence that supposedly anti-woke games like Wukong are what your everyday gamer really wants. Here's the best part. In reality, it was a success because the game was marketed to the enormous untapped Chinese demographic. Shut the fuck up. You are coping. You are coping and seething. Black Myth Wukong is the only game that I know of that you guys have ever spoke about that suddenly you give a fuck as to who bought it and where. Every other game in the fucking world that has ever sold, Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example. You never checked who bought Baldur's Gate 3. You never checked, oh yeah, well, 60% Chinese people bought Baldur's. Like, you never did that. You never did that. You never checked demographics. Now, all of a sudden, you're checking demographics because the game hit 2.5 million players on Steam, because the game sold 20 million copies. You are now checking because of that. Now all of a sudden that needs to be a metric. You guys are such a fucking joke. Unbelievably coping and seething. Let me tell you like this, okay? If you don't believe that a mass amount of people in our country bought Black Myth Wukong, if you don't believe that, just look at Space Marine 2. Okay, Space Marine 2 offers, for all intents and purposes, 1/3 of what Black Myth Wukong offers in terms of content, because unfortunately, that game is very short with its campaign. It's an amazing game. I love it. It's a lot of fun. And its multiplayer is pretty fun too. But in terms of single player content, it offers 1/3 of what Black Myth Wukong offers. And yet, that game has well over 200,000 concurrent players on Steam. That was its record. I think like 220 some odd thousand. That's pretty fucking high. Okay, for a niche game like that, that's pretty high, 220 some odd thousand. So if people supported that game to that extent, you really think that Black Myth Wukong couldn't hit 500K plus, maybe even 1 million in the United States alone? You really think that? You're out of your fucking mind. You are coping and seething that you are trying to bring up the Chinese demographic. Who gives a fuck? Does that make their sales any less? Right? Does it make their sales any less if China supported a product that was made for China? Does it make them any less? Are they not allowed to be in the conversation because it was supported by the Chinese demographic? You guys realize what you're trying to say here in this article? And then he says it was only made worse when streamers were reportedly sent guidelines asking them to not mention feminist propaganda or politics. Black Myth Wukong became the poster child of the most toxic vocal gamers on the internet, and everything since its launch has only worked to further that image. You guys realize how much you're coping by saying that they're bad for saying, hey, don't mention anything other than the fucking game when you're doing a game review? I feel like it's a sad world that we live in, that these developers have to even put those guidelines in place in the first place because they know that losers like you want to take every single video game and make it about politics. Every single video game, you want to make it about politics. You want to talk about feminism. You want to talk about representation, all this shit, when you don't even want to talk about the game. You're doing it right now. You're literally doing it in this article right now. Wukong was a monumental hit. There's no denying that. Within days, it skyrocketed to the 7th most played game Steam of all time with a concurrent peak of 2.4 million players. But numbers aren't everything. Oh, the cope. The cope. Numbers aren't everything. Oh, okay. Tell that to the studios that are firing people. Yeah. Tell that to all the developers that are doing layoffs. Tell that to all the studios that are closing down. Tell that to all the tell that to Ubisoft actually that their stock has dropped 90% in a year. Tell that to them. Numbers aren't everything, guys. The message is the most important things, guys. The amount of fucking cope at the end of this article is so pathetic. Who wrote this? I want to give you your just due. Who wrote this? Holy shit, what a fucking cope. Oh, man. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. And if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one.